Hello, hello, hello. Bidemi, welcome. Elizabeth Ali, nice to see you today. Rochelle White, you are the first one today again. Almost missed you. Innocent Magaji. Bonsoir, bonsoir. Welcome, everyone. Please go share the link. Williams Olatunde, Adeleke Adeniyi, Patrick Christian, hi. Anastasia McDonald, we're expecting you in Kiev with your hobby. Ahema Mensa, welcome everyone. Mike Freeze, you've been traveling. It's been quite a while. Pato Bazi, welcome everyone. Please, as you are coming in, go right there and share the link. Ridegbenro, welcome. Please go look for the share button. Emmanuel Stephen, go share the link, please. Go look for the share button. It should be somewhere under the video. Go share the link, please. Okay, Babatunde, Bumigbenro, husband and wife, you are there. Mofelola, Success, Priska Gold, okay, Jumbo, I think, okay, David Badejo, Noel Okoshuku, Funkeraji, please go share the link, everyone. Evans is here, McDonald. Theophilus Muiwa, welcome everyone. Let's go share the link. And here comes Ben Apute with a wonderful, we just finished having a program with Ben today. What a testimony, what a testimony. Ufoma, welcome everyone. Victor Steven, welcome. Kunle Adeni Kwekon, welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, today's meeting today is going to be on the topic of boldness, the lessons of boldness from Martin Luther King Jr. Because it takes boldness for you to be able to do what we've been telling you to do this week. And what we have been talking about all this week and last week is the plague of silence, that we should not be quiet. So let's see what we could learn from Martin Luther King concerning this topic that we have been examining. And he is one of the boldest people who ever walked this surface of the earth. And he has a whole theology, a whole philosophy about it. And his philosophy needs to be adopted by all of us. We need to learn from the best. We need to learn from the gladiators. And one of the gladiators of our age and time is Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. is not just a gladiator politically. It was a gladiator socially, a champion of civil rights, a prophet of the Almighty God. I'm sure this man is a gladiator in heaven as well. Giant. Is a giant that is capable of teaching us how we should live to make a difference in our world. If you want to live to make a difference in your world, if there is any one single person that you could study, that you could learn from, it will be Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. single-handedly, with a lot of his colleagues, went ahead and overthrew the America that used to be to the America that we now know today. It's not easy. It was not an easy fight, but he had to pay the ultimate price, the price of his life for it. But before he gave his life for the change that we are experiencing today, he saw the promised land. He was like Moses, who did not enter into the promised land with the children of Israel, but he was shown it in the spirit, and he saw that the children of Israel were actually going to inherit the promised land that was promised to their fathers. Same with Martin Luther King Jr. Because God knew that it was time for him to leave, he had to be, God made it in his mercy possible for him to see the glory, to see the coming glory, to see the future that we are now seeing. Even to the extent that a black man now has led this nation that used to make people like him slaves. The same nation that used to enslave people like that, blacks, was now being led by a black president. And it looks normal to us. But people who fought for it and people who lived in the days of Martin Luther King Jr. will tell you that that time, it was like it will never happen. But because of the power of faith and because of the power of vision and because of a whole array of qualities surrounding boldness and standing for something that Martin Luther King Jr. had and which we are going to learn from him today, he was able to change his generation. Now, the question I have for all of you that are here today is, why are you here today? Are you here today to be a change agent just like Martin Luther King Jr.? Or you are just here today because, you know, this is another lesson, this is another preaching that you needed to hear? If you are just here, I mean, if, not just even for this preaching, but are you? Why are you in the world? It's interesting for me to know from you why you are living in the world. I don't know if everybody is like me, but in my mind, I don't want to live on earth at all. And I don't want to live in the world at all if I am not absolutely sure that I'm going to be able to make a difference on earth and in life. If I'm not sure that I will be able to make a difference on earth, I don't want to be here. Life is not worth it. For me, in my own understanding, life is always connected with a mission. In my own understanding, life is always about coming here to fulfill a divine mission, even if that assignment will cost you your life, even if that would demand from you to sacrifice the ultimate, which is your life. Well, that is what Martin Luther King's story, by Martin Luther King Jr.'s story taught us. And that is what the life of even Dietrich Bonhoeffer that we studied yesterday, that is what is their lives teachers, that significance and relevance is more important than life. Significance and relevance is more important than life. That is to say, to give your life for significance is a more noble mission than to live but not to be relevant. That is, it is always more profitable to die, to rather die, than to just exist. It is much more valuable, not just in the eyes of the divine, not just in the eyes of God, but even in the eyes of posterity. It is much more honorable to die for a worthy cause than to live a gray life that is not going to be remembered and that does not bring any significance to the very existence, to the very world that you are living in. So people like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, people like that, you know, like we had yesterday, he died in the concentration camp, and he died 2 weeks before the war ended, before the Second World War ended. He died in Hitler's concentration camp. But he had been able to release to the world many of his work and quotations and his beliefs. But he had not just successfully spoken. He had not just spoken. But thanks to his death, even though when he was alive, only few people knew him. And mostly people who knew him were just theologians like him and Christians. But when he walked the walk, when he actually went back to Germany and suffered with the people, and he had a choice not to do that. But when he actually went back, suffered in the concentration camp, and actually gave his life to prove that he believes in what he said, yes, that is what made him to be of significance. That is what made people to know that, yes, he meant what he was talking about. It was not just talking. So life is not just about existence. That's the bottom line of what I'm trying to say. Life, no matter whose life, is about significance. Do you know that there have been people who have never been able to speak and they still make a difference in the world? Do you know that there are people who cannot even walk and they are still able to make a difference in the world? So life is about significance. Life is not worth living at all if it doesn't have it, if it doesn't bring any relevance and significance with it. Because that would mean that God is not a God of purpose. But God is absolutely a God of purpose that plans everything with a purpose. So if there are some people that are supposed to come to the world and they are just supposed to be here and not make a difference, that means that God just can be a waste. God can just be a waster, just to waste his materials, his resources on them and just send them here. It means that God is a time waster. It means that God doesn't have a goal. God is always having a goal. Someone is writing, Susanna, people's journey is different. Not everybody is privileged to know the Lord from an early age. So, of course, you, Pastor Sunday, are ahead of many of us in many areas. Many of us need to still learn what you already know. Oh, yeah, we always have to learn. Even if you knew the Lord from 5 years old, even if you knew the Lord from early age, that doesn't mean that you are going to live a life of significance. You think that it's only Pastor Sunday who knew the Lord from young age? Ooh, no. Before Pastor Sunday, there were millions of people who knew the Lord from young age. And after Pastor Sunday, there are still millions of people who knew the Lord from young age. I don't think you have been watching my program, the Kingdom Fruits. Go to my YouTube page and check out the Kingdom Fruits. You will see that people have been going to church for 30 years from young age, earlier than me. People have been going to church for 20 years, 15 years, and they didn't have a love of significance. Because it's not just about, I wait, God makes something out of me. No, it's all about what you know. It's all about the principles that you discover and the things that you know. So to know the Lord is not enough, my dear. Many people know the Lord, but that doesn't make them anything, But they need to know what they need to know to make them become who they need to become. So that's why we are learning. All of us have to learn. If you know the Lord from a young age and you don't learn, you don't discover the things that you need to discover, you will remain there. You will remain there. So anyway, the reason for what I'm saying is that I'm saying we all need to learn from Martin Luther King Jr. And what are the things that we need to learn from him? We need to learn from him what made him who he is. By the way, one of the principles that will always help you in life, if you really want to make a difference in your life, is remember this principle. Anytime you see somebody who is successful, or who has been able to do what you have not been able to do. Anytime you see people who have achievements that you don't have or that you couldn't even dream about, who have tremendous results, don't just sit down there and say, well, yeah, they are lucky they went to a good school. Oh, yeah, well, I understand. It's because they were born in the right country. Oh, yeah, you can understand because, yeah, he was born in a Christian home. Oh, yeah, he got born again early. Yeah, okay, why not? He has to be successful, yes. He was not born in a communist country like me. Oh, yeah, he was not born in Africa like myself. He was born in England. Oh, yeah, why not? He has to become that successful because of this, because of that. No, that's not the right approach. The right approach is this. You must always remember that when anybody attains any height, any success, any achievement that is not ordinary, that is tremendous, that is out of the order for everybody, that nobody else is doing, or that only few people are doing, remember this. It is only because there are some secrets that that individual has discovered that is not known to others. There are some secrets. Behind every great achievement are great secrets. Behind every great success are great secrets. So the right attitude to have is to have that at the back of your mind and say, okay, behind every great success are great secrets. I want to get behind those secrets. I want to discover them. That's why we study. That's why the Bible says in Hebrews that study the life of the leaders who have gone before you so that you will discover the secret behind their faith. So that you will be able to imitate their faith. That means imitate their principles. Imitate the things that makes them tick. And that's why we are studying today. What is it that made Martin Luther King who he became so successful? To be able, if you knew the kind of prejudice that existed in America at that time, it's impossible for anybody to even risk it. I mean, groups like Ku Klux Klan were going all about and were, they were killing people everywhere. But Martin Luther King knew something, thanks also to his study habits. He studied a lot. He read a lot. He read into history. He went and dug deep. One of the great people he learned from was Mahatma Gandhi. He learned from the German philosophers and theologians. But Mahatma Gandhi influenced him greatly. But also because he was taught well by his father. He was taught to go and become the best. So this man, he cubed himself and he made himself into who he became. He didn't just become that person, Martin Luther King Jr., that we all know today by accident. He became so through hard work. He was trained to be a priest, a pastor, a Lutheran pastor. But that was not enough. That's not what made him to become who he became, because there were many Lutheran pastors, many trained pastors, many people from his same school, same seminary where he studied, that also finished the seminary like him. But what made him thick? I would not like us to go to learn about Martin Luther King Jr. from what people are writing about him, from what other people are saying about him. I would like us to rather learn from him from his own words, from his own mouth. Thank God he died of recent. I mean, he lived in our generation. So he has enough recorded material about what made him tick, what made him to be exceptional. What are the principles? If you notice, I'm bringing out principles from his life. I'm not bringing out stories from his life. I'm not bringing out, I'm not bringing out illusions from his life or superstitions from his life. I am bringing out principles that he discovered. And these principles were only able to come into operation in his life only because he was taught, he discovered them. And because he discovered them and he practiced them, he inculcated them. That is why they were able to work for him. So that is those principles. We want to find them out from him himself, from the horse's mouth. We want to discover the principles that made Martin Luther King the man that he became from his own mouth. And then our own, what will be left for us will be to now pay the price of becoming that person and making sure that those same principles become our principles and that the word becomes flesh indeed. If you have not yet shared this message, please go look for your share button. Look under your video. You will see a button there that you could share, you could press, share that button and encourage people to come on and join if they wish to learn from the life of Martin Luther King Jr. So the first principle that I want to talk about from the life of Martin Luther King Jr., what from his own words, is that he says, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. my life begins to end. It was Benjamin Franklin that said that most people die at the age of 25, but they don't get buried till they are 75. So, what do you mean they died? The definition of death, therefore, that Martin Luther King is using could be applied. The definition of death in the mind of Martin Luther King Jr. is not physical death, like most people look at it. So most people deceive themselves and think, I'm here now. I'm eating. I just ate this morning. I just called somebody. I just spoke. I just got married. I just had a child. But they are dead long time ago. So you could be running helter-skelter on a daily basis, doing some activities, getting married, but you're already dead. I like that definition of death better. So people like Martin Luther King and what was the name of the person I called right now? What do they call it? Benjamin Franklin. Both Benjamin Franklin and Martin Luther King Jr., they understand this. That most people who we greet every day, who we shake or even sleep with and wake up with, are dead bodies long time ago. What kind of death is that makes a man to still be alive in the sense that he's still going to work and is, marrying and having children, yet is a dead man? What kind of death could that mean? Martin Luther King Jr. helps us with a description of that death. And that death is explicitly written here. And it could be the same thing for you. Look into yourself and examine yourself. Are you sure you are not dead already? Our lives, my life, begins to end the day. Not the year, the day. The day I become silent about things that matter. When I'm not contributing, when I am not being proactive any longer, when I'm no longer challenges the status quo, when I'm no longer standing up for what is right, when I'm no longer challenging evil, when I'm no longer fighting for righteousness, when I'm no longer promoting justice, when I'm no longer hunting down injustice, when I'm no longer standing for God and for the kingdom, my life begins to end. So death, therefore, is the failure of man to be actively engaged with the matters and issues of his time. So your failure to actively engage, to be actively engaged, or to actively engage the issues and the matters that are troubling people of your time. Your failure to raise your voice in engagement. Your failure to stand up and stand up to it and say, this is wrong, this cannot be like that, I am not going to tolerate it. That is what makes you to be qualified as a man, as a worthy man. But when you run away and say you want to preserve your life, you actually begin to die. That same life that you want to preserve, you begin to lose it. Because that's what Jesus said. He that wants to keep his life will lose it. But once you are ready to even lose your life, you keep it. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent. Silence, therefore, is one of the greatest indicators. Silence, therefore, is one of the greatest indicators of if you are alive or you are your way out. One of the few means by which you could judge yourself to know if you are dead or alive is silence. I therefore want to ask all of you that are listening to me today to ask yourself, are there issues around you, in your community, in your area, that you have been silent about, that you are still silent about? Are there issues in your church, in your community, in your country, that needs for you to raise your voice and you don't, you just shut it down? Are there, like for example, I come from Africa. And I know that there are millions of children that go to bed without eating. And there are millions of children that cannot afford to go to school. And there are millions of children that cannot even eat 3 square meals. And I'm sitting here. But I'm not just sitting here. I am doing something about it even while I'm here. I'm thinking, I am working, I am creating leverages. I am adding value to myself. I am building a bridge. I'm not just talking here. I am getting ready to go and address all those situations in my continent. But once I begin to be indifferent towards them, and they don't bother me again, and I'm not planning, and I'm not thinking, and I'm not, taking actions or getting ready to take actions, or I'm silent, I'm indifferent, I'm the dead man. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Let me tell you something about silence. In cultures of death, there are cultures of death. If you go to a church where they tell you that you should always be silent, be silent. No, it's not your problem. Keep quiet. It's not your problem. Just keep quiet. Don't talk about it. No, don't release it. That is called the culture of death. There are places where culture of death has taken over culture of life. Because any place you go to where they're always telling you to keep quiet, never expose anything, never talk about anything, never raise issues, never discuss, never ask questions, the culture of death has overthrown the culture of life. It could be a church. It could be a family. It could be a society. It could be a community. If you go to a place where things are bad, where things are run down, where things are evil, where the wrong things are taking place, and you are being told that, no, keep quiet, it is not your problem, or they quoting scriptures to you, don't touch my anointed, or you are disloyal, or you are a rebel, or you are just, anytime they are putting measures in place to just cause you to keep quiet, they are imposing upon you the culture of death, because your silence equals the beginning of your death. So in a country where you cannot talk, that is what made communism to collapse. Because they had a country where the culture of death ruled and reigned supreme. That culture of death spelt the beginning of the end of communism. And the same thing is happening right now in North Korea. Cuba was like that. Any society, either it's a church or it's a family, or any place where they would rather suppress the truth, where the truth is not, where darkness is exalted over light, where the truth is suppressed and is not encouraged to be open, to be discussed, where silence is celebrated over civil responsibilities and civil activism. That means that culture there is the culture of death, and it's left for every individual to either agree to succumb to that culture or to protest against it and stand for the lies and stand for what is right. So my question to you is, are you already a dead corpse? I mean, a dead corpse at 25, waiting for 75 when you will be buried and put in the grave? Oh, but you can still resurrect your life. That's the good thing about this death. You could be dead from 25, but at a certain point, you could take a decision that no, from now on, I am going to begin to live. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent. Check your soul right now, everybody. Are there issues that the Lord has convicted you about? I'm not talking about individuals. Don't talk about people. But issues that the Lord has convicted you about. But you have just shied away from it. Well, that is the day you started dying. You could begin to live now. Mary Daniel says, what about the Bible verse which says that he that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life? Give me that scripture first. When I see that scripture, then we can discuss it. That's not the way it is written, but you can still bring it. Let's talk about it. But what that scripture, by own understanding, means that it's not talking about issues. You know, somebody can just be opening his mouth and talking about anything. Mm-hmm. But right now, I'm talking about issues. And not keeping silent doesn't mean to even talk. You might not even open your mouth. So you are talking about opening mouth, talking. I'm talking about action. I'm talking about reaction. I'm talking about attitude. I'm talking about having the proactive attitude to things that are wrong. You don't necessarily need to talk, but you can still change matters. You can write, for example. You can draw, for example. You can, you can not even write or draw. You can just go and act. What matters in this case that I'm talking about is to change the status quo. So it's not just about opening mouth and talking. Okay, that's a big difference. The next quotation from Martin Luther King Jr. that blessed me and that has inspired me, and that is that I believe that is supposed to be a blessing to all of you that have chosen to use to kind of help you to develop your boldness, is this quotation here, this statement here from Martin Luther King Jr. It says, the hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of great moral choice or moral conflict. I will repeat that again. The hottest place in hell, in hell, in hell, in hell, hell is not reserved to the evildoers who are perpetrating that evil, but to those who kept quiet while that evil is taking place, and they see it and turn the other eye. The hottest place in hell is reserved to those ones, for those ones. So that idea about being neutral, or it doesn't concern me, indifference, is the quality that dehumanizes you. Neutrality at the point of, in the front of evil, dehumanizes you. You are not human again. You disqualify yourself from being called human. The hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of great moral choice or conflict. Every day, we have to make a moral choice. You might not open your mouth, but you might open your notebook and put it down. Then when you get home, you go and make your strategy. Build your strategy. And begin to act. For example, I've been out of Africa for 30 years, 31 years. I'm getting ready to go, but I've not gone yet. So what is delaying me? I'm still putting together my strategies. And apart from the fact that, I have other issues here that I'm resolving. But so the fact that you are still putting together your strategy, you have not made noise yet, that doesn't mean that you are not doing it. You are responding in your own way, or you are still preparing yourself. It's just like saying, for example, when Joseph was building the storehouses for the 7 years of famine that is coming, it doesn't mean that he was indifferent. No, he was not feeding anybody yet, but he was building. That building process is also, being alive, taking responsibility. Or, for example, Noah. Is it 120 years that he used to build? Or 70 years? He was building for so many years. Now, there was you could say, but why was he? There was nothing yet. But the time of preparation is as important as the battleground itself. So, the hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of great moral choice. The hottest, okay, is it 100 years? Noah was building for 100 years. Okay, 100 years, somebody said. The hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of great moral conflict. Not those who are doing the evil, but those who are neutral. Not those who are perpetrating the evil in the church, but those who see it and could talk and refuse to talk. Hellfire is waiting for them. Those are serious words. I have another idea. William says, DSA just like the Sacramento experience, I'm working on the best approach to bring it to the public. There is no need to work on any approach. Just tell them that you spoke to Dr. Sunday Adelaja himself. And so Dr. Sunday Adelaja said he will confirm. You tell the story of my talk with you and quote me. And if they are doubting, let them write me. And I will confirm for them. Write an article or do an interview, do a video yourself. Tell the story. The next words of Martin Luther King Jr., because we are learning from him today. Edwin said, wow, DSA is tearing up the lion inside of me. Oh. Well, if it will take so long, then it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. Another statement from this great man that really helped me and that helps me to be who I am today. Is the statement that says, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Let me take that again. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of peace, comfort, and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. So if you are the type that runs away from controversy and challenges, you don't have a measure as a man. That's what I say. You dehumanize yourself. You are not a human being. You carry the body of a human being, but you are not yet. A human being is determined not because he has two legs. A lot of animals have two legs. The measure of a human being is not because you have voice. You think animals don't have voice? All of them speak all kinds of languages. Your measure as a man is in your moral choices and in your power of willpower. What are you directing it to? Like it says here, the ultimate measure of a man is about his choices. What do you choose to do? Where do you choose to stand? If you stand for what is right, okay, Noah built actually for 120 years. You are right, Emmanuel. Emmanuel Stephen is the one who is right. I remember now. It's 120 years that he was building the ark. Yeah. So I was wrong. I was right initially, that is. So, okay, somebody said, DSA, your recent messages are yet to be uploaded on YouTube. Is that so? Okay, we will try to do it by today or tomorrow. All of them are uploaded? Well, you people should control it. Make sure that my messages every day, the same day, they are uploaded. So, let me say that again. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience. That's about choice. So if there are things that are right to do and you choose to escape and hide where things are more convenient for you, it means you are saying you are not a human being, you are a biomass. It means that you don't have a willpower, and your will is what makes you who you are. Your will is your identity. Your will is your personality. Your will makes you to know, who you are, to be able to stand for something. If you are not able to stand for something, you fall for anything. It means you don't have your willpower. You don't use your will. And if you don't use your will, that's what makes you a man. And you are not different from an animal or a tree or anything like that. So the ability to stand for what is right, the ability to fight for what is right, it shows your measure as a human being and as a man. Therefore, never you be afraid of challenges. Never you be afraid of controversy. As a matter of fact, if you are afraid of controversy, it means that you will never attain significance. Controversy is synonymous to significance. If you are afraid of challenge, you will never attain greatness. For greatness is the subtotal amount of challenges that you have that you've been able to surmount. So there is just no way for you to say you want to be great and not embrace challenges. There is also no way for you to say you want to be famous without controversy. You have to embrace controversy. Olusegun Folabi is saying, DSA, I sincerely wish you start a church in Nigeria. People really need someone like you there. Yeah, I want to go to Nigeria for sure, but I'm not just interested in church right now because too many people are doing churches. I don't want them to make mistake and think we are the same. But that's number one. Number two, I would not start a church until God instructs me to do that. But one thing I can assure you is this: the people I will raise, people who are my disciples, they will do it, even if I don't do it. We will raise new generation of pastors who will be taught well on how to do the church in the kingdom way. So the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. That means never run away from challenges and never hide away from controversy. Stand where it is right. If it is right to stand in the midst of controversy, stand there. If it is right to stand in the midst of challenges, stand there. But if it is also right to stand in the midst of comfort, that's where you should stand. If it is right thing to do to stand in the midst of convenience, stand there. Just do what is right. Stand with the truth no matter what. Omo Bolabo Oluwatobiloba says, wow, so you mean I can't be great without being ready to embrace controversy? You didn't know? It means you are new. You've not been listening to me. And anybody who tells you anything opposite is deceiving you. Is not interested in your progress. It's not possible. Do you want to tell me that Jesus was not controversial? He's the greatest. It's because of controversy that they killed him. You want to tell me that Paul was not controversial? If they had not been controversial, they would have killed him now. They even turned him upside down and killed him. You want to tell me that Peter was not controversial? If it had not been controversial, you would have heard of it at all. People who are not controversial, nobody hears about them. Controversy is the fuel, is the petrol that burns the fire of fame for you. That's why you are famous. That's why you are great. And greatness is the subtotal amount of troubles and problems and adversities that you have been able to surmount. So welcome to reality. On this platform, this is the only platform where, maybe not the only one, but this is one of the few platforms where you will surely be told the truth. You are not going to be deceived. And if you have missed most of my old messages, go find them. They are there on YouTube. Sunday Adelaja Official, Sunday Adelaja Official YouTube homepage. You will see them, in my language they say repete. You will see them plenty, beaucoup, beaucoup. The French people say beaucoup, beaucoup. Okay. Please go share the message. If you're here, go find a way to share it. Go share it. Next point that I want to mention and remember about Martin Luther King Jr. is wonderful statement. It says, the ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people. This falls right in line with some of the things we have been talking about since last week. The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over their actions by the good people. So again, you see that silence is one thing you have to totally hate. Not silence in the sense of exposing people, but exposing evil. Not silence about talking bad or backbiting, but about talking about what is wrong and uprooting and fighting to uproot it. So you should never be on the side of the wrong, on the side of evil, on the side of the oppressor. So bad people do evil things, Bad people oppress. Bad people are cruel. Bad people kill. Rapists rape. Armed robbers kill. Drug users use drugs. Or drug addicts, drug barons. They carry drugs, sell drugs. Evil people do evil in the world. But the ones who are silent about them, the ones that are not fighting them, the ones that are not resisting evil, they are the ones committing most evil. The Bible says that resist the devil and he will flee from you. If you are not resisting it, it will overwhelm and overcome you. And not only you, it will overcome everybody else. But when evil is being done with all its cruelty and oppression, we know that those people are bad people. But what are good people doing at that time? Just complaining? That's not the type of thing I'm talking about. Just murmuring? That's not the kind of thing I'm talking about. You are supposed to swing into action, plan out your strategy, and move against evil. Even if that is going to cost you your life. So, the ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty that is happening in the world, but the people who are quiet about them. Now, that is why I started my program that is called Kingdom Fruits. Why? Because when all the evil things are happening in the society, and we are keeping all the good people in the church, hoarding them, like in prison yard, and we are telling them that don't go, that place is bad, though, politics, evil is happening there, come to church, don't go there. What we are doing basically is that we are actually those good ones who are not just quiet and silent over all the evil that are happening. We are actually keeping the good people away from being able to interfere and being able to stop and intervene in the evil that is happening. So therefore, in this kind of case, the greatest evil and the greatest strategy is the church that preaches that kind of doctrine. The church that preaches that darkness is too dark, don't go there. The church that preaches that discotheque, casino, politics are evil, they are darkness places, don't go there. They are more evil than the evil people who are perpetrating those things. So that doctrine of just being in the four walls of the church to serve God in the church, that doctrine of making people to remain in the pews of the church and not being released and being sent forth to confront the evil and to subdue evil, that kind of church is a collaborator church, collaborator with evil. Let me say that again. Like, for example, in my country, they tell people, don't go to politics. But you know what the Muslims do? The Muslims go and they are everywhere. Even though we are 50% Christians. But the Muslims are running everything. Why? So the evil, they say, oh, Nigeria is bad, there's no justice, there's no equity. In my own opinion, the most evil are those pastors who have preached that Christians shouldn't go to politics. Stop blaming the Muslims. They want to Islamize, they want to do this, they don't want us to study the Bible, they don't want. It is the fault of the church for preaching the fact that our people, the good people, shouldn't go to confront the evil in the land. It is the fault of the church that is not allowing church members to go and confront crime. That's why the crime is prevalent, or kidnapping or anything like that. Real faith, real Christianity will say, no, we are the light carriers. We carry light. Light. It's not light that should be hiding from darkness. It is darkness that's supposed to be hiding from light. So anytime the good people who are supposed to be the light begin to run away from darkness, they are worse than that darkness they are running away from. Anytime the good people who are supposed to represent the salt and the light of the society are running away from the darkness and from the soup or from the society that they are supposed to go and bring salt to and bring light to, they are the greatest. They are the ones to blame. They commit even more crime, more worse crimes than those other ones who are already there. Let me show you another wonderful word from Martin Luther King Jr. The one that I personally valued, and it has really helped me to choose my friends. It says, in the end, we will only remember, in the end, we will remember not the wars and the threats and the, and the roaring of the words of our, not the words and of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Let me say that again. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies. Let our enemies say anything they want to say. Enemies, that's why they are enemies now. They hate us. So let them do any evil they want to do. Let them do that. Let them say anything they want to say. But when people say they are your friends, keep quiet also. You better be careful. Did you have friends in the first place? Maybe those are not friends. Maybe those are enemies, but they are the enemies in your camp. At least the one who declare themselves as enemies openly, at least you know that they are enemies. You know how to carry yourself with them. But the ones who say they are your friends, and then evil is happening against you, or something is happening in your life, and they just disappeared. Don't be those friends who disappear when you need them most. They are greater enemy than the enemy you are fighting. Once I started going through trials, and I read this scripture, and I read this quotation, I just knew it was right. When your friends cannot stand by you in whatsoever you are going through, you know they were never your friends. They were taking advantage of you. You know, there is another quotation that says that your friends, they don't ever need explanations. Anybody that is asking for explanation, because if they are your friends, they love you anyway. Even if you did it or you didn't do it, or they love you and they support you and they will always protect you and be on your side. Those are your own people. But the ones that just go under the water and disappear, and they say you are still thinking they are your friends. No, they are not your friends. They are people who are hanging around you because of what they're getting from you. Mary Daniel says, most people are lacking the strategy how to face evil situations in their churches because they did not know the outcome. Yep. Very good. They do not know the outcome is a good, truthful word. You know, Mary, you need to go and listen to all my previous messages, especially the last 1 month. You just go to my YouTube page. It's called Sunday Adelaja Official. And if you go to the home page, you will see series upon series, series upon series. And go to and pick anyone you want. We have talked about all these things, and you will see a lot of them. You will see a lot of them. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies. What does that mean? It means that the words of the enemy will disappear. You will not even remember, because you know they are your enemy. You not even remember. But you'll be wondering, where was this? Where was this? But why didn't he talk? It's not even the words of your friends you will remember, but the silence. You say, oh, that one called. Oh, yes, that one came. Oh, yes, that one said something. Oh, yeah, that one wrote. But these ones, why didn't he talk? Where was he? Which means that the silence of so-called friends are more deadly than the assault of the enemy. The silence of the so-called friends are more deadly. They are more a deadly arrow than the assault, than the gunshot of the enemy. Let me read you a few more passages like this, a few more statements from Martin Luther King Jr. that will really help you to get ready for what life means. He who passionately accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helps to perpetrate it. He who accepts evil without protesting against it, it is really cooperating with it. And you accept it when you are silent as well. Another statement he made is, history will have to record that the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not the strident clamor of the bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people. That's Martin Luther King Jr. The appalling silence of the good people. It doesn't matter what the bad people are doing, but when the good people keep quiet, they collaborate with evil, they actually promote that evil, and they, with their silence, actually perpetrate that evil as well. And the reason why most of us don't act is in this last quote that I'm going to quote from Martin Luther King Jr. The first question which the priest and the Levite asked themselves was, if I stop, you remember the story of the Good Samaritan, if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me? First of all, I will be late to the service. They might dismiss me. My money will go. I will not be able to feed my family. And I will no money for transport to go back. It's all about me, egocentrism. If I stop to help this man, I will be late or I will be distracted. I was supposed to be going there. How many hours would the hospital take? I don't know. I might not even be able to call. Self-preservation, egocentrism is what is happening. I mean, it's what is hindering us from becoming a real man. Man that God respects. Man that lives for ages and generations to come. So the first question which the priest and the Levite asked was, if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me? But the Good Samaritan reversed the question. If I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him? We must always put what is right ahead of our own personal preferences. We must always put ahead of our own ego the truth, what is right. We must always put ahead of us what will please the heart of the Father. The interest of God, the interest of others have to come before our own personal interests. The interest of God, the interest of the kingdom, the interest of other people must be elevated above our own personal interest. If we do the opposite, we are egocentric, and egocentrism will always put us in the wrong side of the table. All right, guys, it's been nice to be with you today. I'm still around and I'm still going to be here. But I want to find out if some of the people here with me would like to share their mind with us. Okay, Doris is asking Jomani, as a pastor, sir, who will you count as a friend amongst the two? One who looks at you to tell you the truth about your errors, or one who finds ways even when they know it will cost them their relationship with you, or one who is all things goes, praise God, singer for you? No, definitely those. If you've known me and you've been listening to me, I don't even need to answer that question myself. Just listen to my programs every day, or go and listen to others. What I have been relating with my staff here, and you see what has been happening. That everybody is free here to exchange and to talk. You know what they think. Definitely, I prefer people who will look me in the eyes and let me know what is wrong. So if you have not yet shared this message, please go ahead and share it. Anybody would like to share today? Please, ID is the first one. Please come on.
Wow, what a great message. Good evening, everyone on the platform. First of all, I want to congratulate every one of you that have started the movement already. There is fire on the mountain. I am sharing everything, and Nigeria the heat has begun. So, Doctor, thank you so much. In fact, they are just looking at you. They don't know that you are raising many sons. That by the time we start to unleash what has been put in us, all those big cathedrals will be empty. I have a dream that one day Nigeria will be free from every religious manipulation, and sons and daughters of God will be released for them to pursue their calling and their destiny. I have a dream that one day Africa will be free from every religious enslavement. Yes. I have a dream that one day Africa will be free from having church in every street.
Where there are no schools.
Where there are no schools, no libraries. Into Africa that we will have libraries and schools and teaching centers in every street. Yes. I have a dream that one day African sons and daughters will not travel abroad to go and seek for education, but our education in Nigeria and in Africa will be sufficient enough. I have a dream that one day we will we will not be going to morning prayers before we go to work. Yeah. But as well, we will go to make some research, yeah, and have personal relationship with our Maker before we go to church, before we go for our work and businesses. I have a dream that our hospitals, our libraries will be in a perfect form. I have a dream that one day our government will wake up to confiscate every buildings and we use it for schools for less privilege. I believe that dream. And that time is now that everybody should wake up. For you who are on the platform, you are not yet wake up. I charge you that this is the time for you to start. If you can write, write. If you can speak, speak. Amen. If you can crawl, crawl. In anything you are doing, make sure there is movement. Make sure that you are making our oppressor know that they are enslaving us. I have a dream that one day we are free and the time for our freedom is now. Yes. The sons of God are free. Yes. And we are free. And we are crying freedom at last. Yes. Freedom has come. Today is the day of freedom. Yes. And we are free at last. Hallelujah. I celebrate everyone on the platform. I love you, everyone. Thank you, my mentor.
Martin Luther King Jr. today. Wonderful. Great speech. Great speech. Any other person want to talk? Okay. I don't finish it.
Hello, everyone.
I settled everything.
Hello, everyone. I was just thinking about this and thinking about it in terms of, we're talking about talking and keeping quiet, but we don't only keep quiet when we don't speak. Also, when we don't do the right things, we're not keeping quiet. When we're not fulfilling, we're keeping quiet. When we're not fulfilling our purpose, we're keeping quiet. When we're not running to our purpose and pursuing our purpose, we're keeping quiet, because all this is part of silence. When we're just sitting in our comfort zone and doing the things that pleases us only, we're keeping quiet. So I just want to mention that it's not just about speech of an action that is wrong, but it's also the action that is not even being created yet. It is new, the purpose that God has put in you, or the actions of you creating something that you are not creating out of laziness, out of nonchalantness, out of ignorance. Just even being in ignorance is keeping quiet, because we all have a duty of care to this world. We have a duty of care to our community. We have a duty of care to our family. So not doing all the right things that we're supposed to and pursuing our purpose and doing everything in our power just to get out of the comfort zone and do what needs to be done is keeping quiet. So this is really something that I need to say to myself. So I'm not just saying it to everyone out there. I'm actually saying it to myself as well. So please let us not keep quiet in many areas, in every areas of our lives, even accepting something that is wrong just because you don't want to rock the boat. We've spoken about that before. It's wrong. What is wrong is wrong. So this one is really about purpose, about taking action, about you creating that product, about utilizing your time well. If you're not spending your time well and you're not converting, you're keeping quiet. If you're not being proactive in an action, you're keeping quiet. If you're not helping your neighbor or helping somebody out there, you're keeping quiet. If you're going to church and other people are suffering and you're doing just playing house and playing church, you're keeping quiet. So consider everything that makes you keep quiet, not just words, but your actions as well keep you quiet. So thank you.
Okay. Jomani Dory says, fire on the mountain.
Yes.
And I can't wait for it to start to burn. There is fire on the mountain and the churches have no choice but to conform. Great speech idea. Ojelabi said that. Oji Muda said, ID is on fire. Right on, my brother. Boniface Hart said, fire all over. Adefila said, I have a dream that our government minds will be renewed into thinking of God for his people. Monica, yes, we have woken up from our slumber. Nkiru said, Dr. ID is on fire. Afolabi, I have a dream that one day I will build a university for the less privileged. Amen. Ojimadu said, ID, my man, I love your spirit. God bless you. Doris said the cathedrals will close on his own when the truth comes to town. Gloria says, wow, I need to listen again. God bless you, Pastor. Dupe says, running, running, running. Jane says, I must always elevate the interest of God, the kingdom, and the people over my own interest. Yep. Elizabeth Ali, thank you so much, dear. Say, I need to digest these stations. Anastasia, thank you, Dr. Sandra Adelaja. We are learning fast in these bootcamp classes. David Badejo said, thank God I did not miss this tonight. Okonko Obiajuru word, the silence of a friend is deadlier than the arrows of an enemy. Same thing I have been writing on in the course of the week. Beautiful. William says, in some churches, you dare not raise an issue as the pastors do not welcome any advice. How much more controversies? There are pastors in the U.S. that are fond of saying nobody can advise them to the face of the congregation. Wow. Amazing. Justine says, even in Europe, most of the churches preach that politics, economy, etc. is evil. You are only somebody if you stay in the church and stay busy with the church things. Amazing. Edwin says, beloved family members, I am glad to tell you that since DSA started roaring, some big pastors in Nigeria have started sitting up. They know that tsunami is coming for sure.
That's good.
Anishuku Samuel, we are the light of the world. If we don't get into politics, darkness will rule over us. Professor Adeleke says, unfortunately, the church puts limitations on their members' calling. Ani, good talk. Light shouldn't be hiding from darkness. Noel Okushuku says at Shegun, one thing I also know is that I'm passionate about revolution. Yes, no one can take that away from me. Susanna says, great topic. Thank God for people like Sunday Adelaja. Thank you, Susanna. Mary Daniels, thanks so much for this broadcast. I'm at the grocery store and still on live. Jomani Doris, I believe the church and most pastors need a rebirth. The number of unbelieving believers in our churches are more than outside. Priska, do not entangle yourself with affairs of this world. How does Christians go into politics? Well, when he talk about affairs of this world, he's talking about sin. He's talking about things that will take you, that will make you to be that's talking about don't fall in love with things of the world. Don't the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, the pride of life. Don't entangle yourself with things. The entangle means don't put yourself around. Don't make yourself a compromise. Don't compromise yourself. Don't put yourself under the submission of things that will compromise you for your values. But what we are talking about is what Jesus said: "Go ye into the world and preach the gospel." Jesus said, "Go ye into all the nations and make disciples." He said, "You are not of the world, but I'm not praying that God will take you out of the world, but that you will go into the world and and transform it and occupy it till I come." That is the one we are talking about. We are talking about what Jesus said, that the kingdom of God is like the yeast. You are like the yeast. I am a believer. I'm like that yeast that is put into the flour and contaminates the whole thing. That is the one we are talking about. Just like Jesus, also, he was holy, but he was not afraid of contamination or getting himself entangled with the things of the world, but he came to the world. Even though he's holy, he's the Son of God. He's coming from heaven. That is much more holy than any church. But he came to the world and changed the world. If you're asking that question, maybe you have not listened to my Kingdom series or church series. Please go to YouTube and look at the series, the church series, Kingdom series. They will really help you. Pierre Emmanuel John, this message helps to become better and more audacious. Thank you. Ganiyu Tairu, some pastors have started repenting secretly. Pierre said, thanks for the message. It helps me to change for the better. Olusegun said, no more quietness, no more silence. The time for the revolution is now. Yep. All the other greetings are from Iowa. Olusegun Folabi, I do wonder if our Christian leaders remember that they will not be buried with any of their possessions with the way they are acquiring wealth. Justina says, well done, Pastor. We need only few of you to turn the world around. Thank you. Gani, Pastor, your approach that makes everyone a champion and star in their own very unique way is highly commendable. And that's why I have followed you over 5 years. Wow. You have been of immense blessing, so thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. It's been nice being with you. Thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow, twice a day. We'll be back 5 o'clock British time, 5 o'clock Nigerian time. And then 7 p.m. 7 p.m. tomorrow, 7 p.m. Nigerian time, and 7 p.m. British time. And also, of course, 12 noon Eastern time in America, and then 2 p.m. Eastern time in America. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. And happy birthday to you, Mayowa. Everybody is greeting you here. Blessings. Bye.